This is Diablo 4. We're here on Xbox Series X. We're taking a look at the beta with final thoughts after playing all of the characters all the way through the first act with all of them and diving deep into what this beta has had to offer. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. And since this is a beta, if you are buying the game, consider using the Microsoft affiliate link in the video description if you're grabbing it digitally, essentially. So what are we getting here? It's a 4K resolution, 60 FPS. There is like a temporal resolution solution used in order to get that visual quality experience. And yeah, it is a very good looking, well-running experience with crossplay, with epic moments of, kind of playing by yourself or connecting with others for multiplayer world events, or even just playing in co-op and having other people jump in and play. So yeah, this is an expansive offering, and something I really do think has the potential to be a Game of the Year contender at this current point in time. It is genuinely impressive from a visual standpoint, a technical standpoint, and a gameplay standpoint. And like I said, I have gone through this many times. We're showing off the Necromancer right now, which wasn't available on the first weekend. But yeah, first I did the Barbarian, then I did the Sorcerer, then I did the Rogue, and then the next kind of weekend I did the Necromancer, followed by the Druid. So I have tried everything. I've been to tons of differing places. I've explored, I've seen things I'd rather not see again, and but yeah, I've kind of really done it all. I've seen all kinds of stuff. I did the big world boss kind of thing that everybody comes together and fight this huge dragon, which is awesome. I did like like tons. I think I did literally every dungeon across the different plays because I did a stream for each of the characters. I did literally the first act with each of the characters as well. I would say I love all of the classes. Well, yeah, basically this Necromancer is really, really overpowered. I like all of the classes a ton, except for the Druid, which I kind of hate. The Druid does get a little bit more powerful once you continue to play and stuff, and a little bit better, but like, when you've got all these other classes, it's just sort of like, it really was very underwhelming, the Druid. Did not enjoy. But, yeah, this Necromancer is just awesome with, like, these groups of, like, team skeletons and stuff. It's fantastic. But, yeah, I think they've done a really, really good job creating something that is fun and creepy and, throws back to the vibes of the, Diablo 1 and 2, where it's dark and grim and miserable. And I think that's kind of what a lot of people wanted, was that sort of return to that like style of play, and I think they nailed it. The classes all have like different quirks and fun things to them, which make them feel distinct. Story-wise, they're going through the same thing, but like, I think people are going to have a lot of fun customizing, improving, and changing their character over time. I kind of want to go... Okay, let's... Yeah, we can go through and then we can just teleport to the front of this. Because I want to show off some, like, dungeon gameplay and stuff like that. But yeah, the main story was, decently lengthy. I got faster and faster at it every time. I got it down to, with, like, skipping cinematics, like an hour and 40 minutes, but usually probably be 2 to 4 hours for the first act, depending on how fast you go through it, how many times you've done it. Then there's, like, different difficulty tiers, too. There's going to be a ton of replay value in this one. I do kind of hope that there's a bit more randomness to the dungeons. After you do a dungeon a few times, you kind of have a really good feel of, like, the layout and everything like that, and what you do in it is pretty straightforward each time. But at least they seem to have an absolute ton of dungeons. And, like, the map itself is, like, far beyond the scope of what we've even seen for this particular, like, for the beta. So, like, if we look at the world... this is like the starting area, but, the dungeons all level up and stuff, and then there's the main city, and then there's all this stuff here. You can't go out to these spots. I've tried. And then, you've got this area, and then there's this area with some dungeons, and there's, like, strongholds here, and there's a stronghold over here, which I conquered, and there's season events, and this is where the big boss world event is, and like this is a lot, but this is like, you know, it's like a chunk of the map, like, you know, like there's a lot more, you know, to this game that we have yet to discover, and I'm very, very eager to see the full scope of this because I have had an absolute blast playing this beta and seeing what it has to offer. I think this is gonna be a very, very successful game because it's so well done. Now there were, you know, disconnects and there were queue times, and you know, some days, for first day it was like a 2-hour queue time, and then you disconnect a half hour, and then like the day after was like a minute long queue, and then for me in the second weekend, you know, there was like half an hour, but I didn't do that, and I came back and it was like less than a minute queue, and you know, I didn't really face too many disconnects, errors-wise, with it being a beta. There was a couple like UI quest things that popped up, but for the most part, this was a very, very chunky beta. It offered a lot of content for you to enjoy. You know, I got to get a good feeling of the different characters and the abilities and, you know, how those classes all kind of play out. And I got to have a lot of fun, which was important. You know, it's really hard for betas to give you like a really good look at the game. Like, it felt almost like a full demo of it, basically selling you on this experience more than even a beta, I guess I would say. Because it really did feel that impressive. I mean, I love this dungeon, like the mix of skeleton bones and like cobwebs. Utterly fantastic. But yeah, they just seem to have like content on content on content, which kept me going for hours, because every stream I did was about, you know, probably just under 4 hours or so I kind of did, and I did 5 of them, so like, you know, I got a good amount of time in, and we haven't even really seen much of the game on any of the character classes, so like, you know, not to mention redoing the character classes over and over again to get like better loot on higher difficulty tiers. Like, there's a lot to enjoy in this game, a lot to experience. So I'm very, very eager to, you know, kind of jump into that full game. It's going to be hard to wait, really, honestly. You're going to be sitting here just being like, where art thou, Diablo? But they've nailed it. Like, this is going to be, I think it's going to be a very, very big title. I really genuinely do. I think they got, like, the artwork down, the grim feel of it. I think they got the gameplay mechanics down. It feels wonderful on the controller. Everything feels very intuitive. They've got in-depth like skill trees. They've got fun little quirky moments that can pop up, a huge variety of differing enemies and types of enemies and variations within those types of enemies. And you know, even the dungeons and the missions quite different. You have missions where you're like supposed to be, you know, kind of moving certain objects, or missions where you're killing things, or missions where you have to do certain, you know, finding things out. It's really, really good. Like, honestly, the one thing I would really kind of sit there is just like, I'm hoping there's a little bit more variation within the dungeons, perhaps, like layout-wise and stuff would be kind of neat for the full release. So we'll see how that is handled, but you know what I mean. Like, this is just very, very well done. It continued to surprise me as we played it and enjoyed it and killed things and grinded through enemies and fought along corridors of darkness and stabbed stuff and, you know, fought vampires and did team events. I also really, really do love the like interconnected kind of worlds. You know, because that can always go multiple ways. You know, some games I'm just kind of like, whatever, you know, you run into other people. But this one, it was really cool when, you know, we had to fight the big dragon, and there was like 15, 20 players there, and we're like, hey, hi, you know, doing little meetup things just before the big battle was going on, or, you know, going around in the open world doing like public events just happening across people. That was kind of actually really fun to see. And, you know, it was just like really quite interactive. Like, it was neat to have these layerings of, you know, you're doing your own thing, but then all of a sudden it's like, well, you know, I can take a second to you know, go and fight this this thing and, you know, go help out some people or go do this mission thing. I actually really think that's going to be cool. I particularly think it'll be interesting if we get to longer, larger cooperative type experiences. Like, obviously, you know, you can grab some friends and have them seamlessly come in and give you a hand and stuff, which was delightfully charming to have people come and play, especially when you get like a whole team of necromancers going and you got all these necro bros or necro skeleton bros going out there. It's awesome. So like it'd be neat to see that kind of expanded upon. More things like the dragon. It would also be interesting if they had more like matchmaking type stuff would be kind of cool too. I say that in the context of like I got too much stuff in my inventory, which is a big problem, obviously. But I say that in the context of like it would be neat if they had like a matchmaking system for like, hey, I want to go and do like a dungeon and kind of like, do you just want to do it by yourself or do you want to, you know, have people join in and stuff? I think that would be kind of a cool integration. We'll have to see, but I think, you know, no matter what happens, the basis here is very well done. How did we miss something to go and do? This is a huge waste of this artillery ability, which is fantastic, by the way. I love the artillery ability. It absolutely just slaughters enemies like nothing. And it's gonna be completely wasted here, but you know, it's just like look at the damage that thing does. It's just kind of really would be cool to see further multiplayer integrations, but what we have so far from the beta, I think, is absolutely going to excite people and deliver. Did we miss one up here? Oh, come on. We literally, I was doing a stream of this and I missed it like literally in the same spot. So now we have to walk over there. But I think you can have a lot of fun no matter what kind of class you go with. You know, like I love the necromancer here with the skeletons and all stuff like that. It's really, really cool. The rogue, really neat, sort of like Matrix-esque sort of like movement and shooting and stuff. And then you've got like that's sort of useless too. And and then you've got the barbarian, which is like kind of a big sort of meaty, taking the damage, tanking kind of character, but you feel like you just club things down. You've got the sorcerer, which just powerful magical attacks. You really feel like a powerful magical entity being a sorcerer in this game. You really, really do actually get that sense of like you're doing crazy damage and stuff. Like, it looks really cool. It feels really cool to play. I love doing the sorcerer thing. And yeah, that was a really, really cool kind of ability. Can we slot one of these things so we get some extra space in here? Ooh, a death helm thing. That's kind of nice. We don't have anything else to slot? Oh, no, we want the way better scythe going on there, of course, obviously. See, you got too many gems. It's ridiculous. You too many gem slots. It's wild. We have the barbarian, the sorcerer, the rogue, necromancer, and the druid. And the druid was like, I don't know if I just didn't have the right setups or something for it, but it's just like a slow, heavy hit thing that just really felt weak and dysfunctional compared to the other options that were present. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of different options for different types of players. And I would imagine, with this being something that they want to do like long-term support on, that I don't think, you know, what we get with this at launch is going to be the end of it. Like, we're probably going to see down the road classes, extra stuff, extra contents. I think this is going to grow to like be a top tier Diablo title, genre defining, perhaps some would go with. Like, they really did nail this. Like, it was a blast. You know, I had high expectations, but I really didn't think I would have this kind of fun going through it. Again, narrative-wise, I'm kind of still sort of not totally captured yet, because I don't know what they're doing with Lilith and whatnot, and having played the story through 5 times, I'm kind of like, okay, I had enough of Act 1, that is for sure. But I am intrigued enough to see what the ultimate goal is going to be, like what kind of conflict's going to happen. You know, there's going to be obviously our forces, the Lilith forces. I'm sure there'll be some sort of Diablo type thing thrown into the middle too, and I just kind of I'm curious to see how it all kind of pans out, what the other areas are like of the world. You know, whoa. You know, what are the greater conflicts of this going to be? But for now, visually, top notch. You know, everything looks really cool, and you know, a variety of different environments, from like snowy, frozen plains to like kind of these dark, decrepit crypts and these icy areas and sort of like kind of murky, swampy caves and cellars and tombs and lodges of death, and there's a lot of different locales you can kind of go to, and it all runs really smooth. You know, I didn't have any performance issues. Visually, it's all great looking on the Series X, which again was what I reported with the initial kind of review that I did for this one. I was just kind of like, you know, that's all good. It was mostly the queue times, which, yeah, honestly, seemed to get pretty handled well. I mean, I think for launch, they're not gonna mess up on that. We'll have to wait and see, but, you know. But from that standpoint, visually, technically, aesthetically, they nail it. It feels really good to handle, feels really good to play. I had a blast. I had an enjoyable time interacting with others. It all felt very seamless. There wasn't anything that really detracted. And, like, showing off this cavern area, it's so cool looking. It really, really is. I love this dungeon so much. Because it's, like, such a creepy, weird place. So we'll have to see what the big changes are for the full release. But I've got quite a lot of confidence in this one that they're going to deliver. I think this is going to be just a absolutely massive game. In so many differing ways, I think this is going to shock people. I think it's just going to be that kind of a massive hit. And I think it's going to be very, very highly acclaimed. I mean, I'm already, you know, just kind of completely taken with this one. It's really, really good. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I definitely highly recommend diving in and playing the game when it comes out, at least from what I've seen thus far. I mean, we're obviously going to have to come back and review this big one and, you know, spend a lot of time playing it and having fun and doing streams and everything like that. I am geared and ready to go. I just, like, you know, assuming everything goes smoothly for that launch, they are absolutely just crushing it thus far. I mean, it just feels so adventurous and exciting, and there's just the replay value. It's tantalizing almost, just how much potential is here, you know, how good this can all go, assuming it's all handled well enough. What I really need is somebody that sells stuff, which I don't think actually happens here, so I have to go over here to do that. What an absolute pain, right? You know, you go to a town, you expect to be able to sell things to people. But I like the world and the scale of the world and how you just kind of move through and you can get distracted. Like, obviously, you know, from my perspective, I'm kind of trying to move through the story stuff fast, and, you know, then afterwards I go and play around and do, you know, side activities and stuff. But I think for the full game, you kind of sit there and you know, go off and you do a side thing. You experience the gameplay with others, you interact with them, you see what others are doing, you kind of appreciate what kind of things they've built and, you know, what they're going towards or building towards, and seeing what else they've got set up is just really neat. And then, you know, having a squad where it's like, you know, potentially with a bunch of like necromancers or, you know, a mix of different team dynamics, I think you can have some really fun, wild, wacky experiences, multiplayer-wise. And it's just, it seems like they are really, really geared for a good time, is what I'm mostly trying to get across. I had a lovely experience playing this one, and I just am really, really, truly excited to see the full potential of Diablo 4, as this tease has been such a tease, because I know there's a lot more out there. You could see it on the map, and they want you to know that, and they want you to feel like you need to go and explore more. And yeah, I'm I'm just ready to create some crazy classes and have some wild memories with this one going forward.